Welcome back to the Backyard Basketball Podcast presented by the Ordinary Podcasting Network. I'm Braden. This is Chris. We're here to talk basketball. Christian, the Boston Celtics are first in the East.
Yeah, it's great and all, but honestly, they lost Robert Williams this morning, so it doesn't even matter. So he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. It's going to start. I mean, yeah, they're first in the East, but like they need Robert Williams. They need the Time Lord who's center and has been the anchor point.
Why is he so good?
Because this has been the best defensive team the last 2 months. First off, I'd say this. Ime Udoka, he should win Coach of the Year.
Tell me.
This year. So it's his first year as head coach because, you know, obviously the shift to Danny Ainge leaving the GM position. And then we have, you know, our buddy Stevens that moves up from coach, decides to retire as a coach and become the GM. And that opens up this coaching position. And this one coach comes on, which I believe he was assistant coach of Brooklyn last year. You know, he has a couple close relations with a few players on the Celtics team, notably Jaylen Brown. And he comes over and it's like a terrible start. It's an absolutely like terrible start for this coach. To beginning of the season, the Celtics are just like a mess of a team. You don't like have any confidence in them whatsoever. And he like turned it around in the course of the season, and he's having a team play in the last like 2.5 months. I feel like the ideal version of what this 4-year process has been for both these guys, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, having these wings with such length, having the best, you know, defensive fighter in the NBA, in my opinion, and Smart, you know, and also probably one of the most polarizing players in the NBA. And yeah, I think there's been a relationship and something established there that this is for real. And this is actually something to contend with in the playoffs. And I was giving the Celtics the best bet for them to win the first round, hands down, no matter what team they face, 5 through 8. That's including Brooklyn, in my opinion, with Robert Williams. Now losing Robert Williams for a few weeks with, I don't know what it was, a tear or a sprain in the MCL, it's just like, fuck me. Like, why? Like, right when we're on the precipice of the playoffs. And I was telling you, man, I was going to bank the Celtics being like my pick to like go to the finals and like, you know, fuck it. Maybe they're going to win it all, you know, like just do it.
I can't believe this.
Just for
just
because
they tied the Miami Heat and made first seed.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is like, I have the utmost confidence in this team up until Monday morning when I whip up my phone and what do I see a headline of? But Robert Williams is out for like several weeks with this injury. It just devastates me. So now it's like Brooklyn, if they have to face Brooklyn, which by the way, dude, I just looked on the playoff picture. Brooklyn is sitting 9th right now. They have to be in the play-in game.
I know they got to do the play-in, and if they do the play-in, it's either the Hawks, the Hawks,
oh my God,
or the Cavs, man. If they fall to 10th,
it's crazy, dude. I think like that's nuts to see. But regardless, so if Boston has to go say against Brooklyn as the 8th seed, if they hold on to the 1 seed, which that's a topic for discussion. Like without Robert Williams, I don't feel so great about them. But
so this was a team that started the season with contention around Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Can they all play together? Who's the odd man out here? We got a new coach in Udoka who we don't know if this thing's gonna work out. And they like were kind of sitting around the play-in spot for most of the season. Like they were not the best team in the division for a long time. Brooklyn and Philly did their chemistry experiment, and they're starting to. Well, Philly's a good team, but they're having some weird lapses. Brooklyn might not make the playoffs.
Well, it does say something that the East is it's more competitive this year than the West, hands down. I mean, you look at all these teams, like they're so close to wins and losses. So at this point, like I had some preconceived idea maybe by the end of last week of, okay, these are going to be maybe the kind of matchups we're going to see. And then obviously over the course of the weekend, like things just have moved around dramatically. You're having the Heat have this crazy struggling losing record as of late. They're the most Jekyll and Hyde team, I'd say,
Who, the
in the
Heat?
NBA. Oh, for sure.
You don't
One
think
game
Brooklyn
they're
is?
no, well, because Brooklyn hasn't had
What?
their pieces together. They haven't.
Exactly. What's more
Well, but
Jekyll and Hyde than
no,
that?
no, Jekyll and
One day you
Hyde is
have
when
Kyrie, one day you don't.
Jekyll and Hyde. Well, yeah, because that is like obviously, when Kyrie plays, we're just saying something to Kyrie, only playing like what 20 some games this season. That every game he has played, his numbers are off the charts. The Heat, however, you have your whole team. You're not losing guys to injury. Oladipo's even back playing now, even though it's limited minutes, but he's playing. And there's just like, one time that you watch them and they're playing incredible defense. They're playing, the Heat way, and that is going to lead you to a championship. And then you have some games where you have Eric Spoelstra and Udonis Haslem and Jimmy Butler pretty much saying, I'm going to beat your ass, at each other, like a really intense, moment. And they lose that game. They've lost 4 games in a row now. The games that they lose, it's just not like even close games. It's just they fall apart. So like, what does that mean necessarily to the future of that team? I don't feel confident in banking on the Miami Heat making it, say, past if they make it past the first round, there's no way in hell they're making it past the second round.
Well, some would argue that that's passion. Then that's guys making sure that shit is in line going into the playoffs.
True.
And
But
I have such confidence knowing Kyle Lowry's on a team.
Yep.
Of yeah, there's some hotheads, and they're the Heat, and they live in Miami, and the pressures just must be insane.
Oh, for sure.
But
For sure.
they have a proven leader with a ring in Kyle Lowry. He now in a phase of his career where he is a solid veteran that is consistent, can put up buckets, threes, defense, kind of everything, locker room, community stuff. Like, that's a really solid piece for Pat Riley's team, and I think that the Miami Heat could surprise a lot of people.
That's true. It's very true. I don't discount them. If
they made it to the finals in the bubble, regardless of the asterisk on the bubble.
You know what? I'll put it this way about Miami. I feel that no matter how they exit this playoffs, I think it's a win-win for them. So one, yeah, you make it all the way to the finals and you get that chance for a championship ring, the chip. You get it or you don't get it. I mean, like, it's saying something to the testament of this team. I mean, obviously you're going to want to win it this year, but I think of like looking on the other side, say they don't win it. Like, what's the one thing, I don't know if you've been seeing in the tea leaves, that if Miami were to lose, and maybe lose early, and there would be like, some guy who lives upriver, a couple of states, plays for the Wizards, that could come to that team, and you have like the team next year that is going to be like the team, they would have to contend with. I can't imagine Bradley Beal on the Miami Heat team being, So, I mean, look at that. Like, hey, you either win the championship or you're probably going to get Bradley Beal this offseason.
So is he a free agent?
It's close. It's like he's either going to be a free. I mean,
I really admire Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard. Their stick-to-itiveness to their team without being upfront traded. I mean, DeMar DeRozan was the same way. He was through and through not from that place, but is committed to that place as a home. And as like, I really, really admire it, because who wants to stay with the Wizards? I mean, Michael Jordan was there for a year or two, and it was dreadful. Gilbert Arenas shot a guy in his locker room. Like, it must.
He didn't shoot a guy. He didn't shoot a guy. He pulled a gun out. I think there's actually a pod I saw recently somewhere. There's that story actually is up in a pod somewhere. Search pods, maybe Gilbert Arenas. I think he was on Ryan Russillo and talked about the story.
But that, whatever the fuck happened to make that happen,
he had a Will Smith moment.
Oh boy, just slapped somebody, just with a gun.
Well, I mean, there's
that would be terrible.
To go from
Thank God
to 100.
Not condoning the actions of Will Smith, but if he pulled out a gun, oh God.
Oh my God.
It went south. It could have gone further south.
Okay, before Gilbert Arenas, what were we conversing on here?
The Wizards. You were talking about Bradley
Oh,
Beal going to the
yeah.
Miami Heat, and that's a really
So
interesting. It's an
just
interesting thing that could happen, but there's no way that Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson all fit with that team still. If that's what's going
no,
to happen,
no. Well, you're moving pieces around, but you're having
too many
Jimmy
guards.
Butler, Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, and Bradley Beal on your team. That's your four.
So Jimmy Butler's the 3 then.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you move those guys around somehow to make it all work.
I think they
Yeah,
need to
Jimmy
bring
Butler
back
could play
Mario
the three.
Chalmers.
Didn't Jimmy Butler play 3 in Philadelphia, or did he play the 2?
It's likely he did, but he seems like a 2 to me. I don't know. Maybe his defense. He's a bit taller, a bit longer. He moves.
I liked Jimmy Butler on that Philadelphia team better than I did on the Miami team that went to the finals. Like I don't know, just that team and how it was kind of built together. And I mean, Toronto literally, took the
Yeah.
life out of them. I think having Beal, him at the 3, Adebayo, maybe if you can move Hero and Robinson and also get like some sort of big. So I was just looking at this and let me know your thoughts. So Bradley Beal, he's got one more year in his contract. So after next year, he'll be a free agent. So of course, there's going to be some sort of urgency that the Wizards get something for him instead of him walking, right?
Oh yeah.
How about this? If it was in Miami and they were unfortunately going to trade, like I got this weird feeling. I don't know, man. I agree with you about Beal and Damian Lillard and their commitment and really honoring that. I mean, in the Damian Lillard situation, maybe he just does stay, but I have this feeling next season both those guys are going to be gone. But like, what teams could you see, like say Bradley Beal, going on? If it was in Miami,
I think an interesting one might be like a Memphis. Like a surpriser team that's been really kind of
dude.
like showing off lately. I mean,
Dude.
wouldn't that be crazy?
Oh man.
What if he went to Dallas?
Actually, that was another team I thought of too.
That's
That
just
would
it.
be
Like, find a
sweet.
team that's really even. I mean, Denver has kind of one or two more shots at this. They need a healthy Jamal Murray. If they've got a healthy Jamal Murray, watch out Denver.
Yep. But I don't know if there's going to be another piece necessarily. We got to see what Denver's like. I feel Denver's like next season. If you've got everybody healthy, what they can do. Um, you start making some big swings then for some other people. But
Yeah.
it'd be funny actually if LeBron James left and went to Denver to join Jokic and Jamal Murray
Why? Why
to win
Denver?
his last chip in Denver with Jokic. You'd be like, this is the best big man I've ever played with in
That
my
he's
life.
ever played with. I bet he
Yeah.
would love to have a solid big man. He's just been riddled with Dwight Howards and DeAndre Jordans.
Fucking
And
Anthony Davis.
well, Anthony Davis, I guess I just completely forget because he's
Oh, you
always out.
forgot he was an NBA player. Yeah,
He's
no, I
always
get that too.
out, and it sucks. Don't let this be his legacy.
He's like a phantom, He's like just kind of roaming around in the house, and you almost look like you can grasp him, but then he's a specter. He just disappears. And then LeBron's like, "Damn it! I can't even win against this Pelicans team that we're fucking neck and neck with. Dropping 39 points, and I still lose."
He's still so good. That's just it, though.
Oh man, I feel bad for him.
He,
Yeah, he's so good. It sucks because I guess I feel bad that you feel like I know he's getting a lot of points, but it feels like it's a wasted year. Him still like really pumping it out, and if he had those pieces there, maybe they could be something. I mean, the Westbrook thing, whatever. I don't want to talk about Lakers.
the
I don't
Westwood
want to talk
thing,
about the
whatever.
Lakers.
Well, fuck it. Let's just stop talking about the NBA
Can-
altogether then.
Well, wait. Can we talk about? I'd love to talk about the other thing because I think it's be important to talk about the Raptors. Man, I feel
Wow.
now. Right now, I'm looking like they could face Milwaukee potentially in the first round, which is very scary. But there's something to this Raptors team, man. Like I feel like they can really pull a punch and even a potential upset against any of these teams.
I completely agree. I would say if you're looking at betting, the unders are in their favor. Like you
Yep.
have to kind of see this team as an underdog only in so much as how they were set up. this year, but that's going to be that's what surprised everybody so far in the in their positioning, is that they're in a really tough division. When you look at Boston, Philly, Brooklyn, they're not supposed to be the 2019 Raptors that we saw. Well, I mean, and they can't be. They don't have those players anymore, frankly. But they did hold on to Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet in that offseason, not trading for Russell Westbrook and Paul George, both who I don't even want to talk about their experience this year, because I'm just grateful they're not with the Raptors.
Yeah. We've had so many good breaks.
Oh, well, okay. So you can talk about them as luck or breaks. Well, you can also give credit where credit's due, and Masai Ujiri is the best executive in the NBA,
for sure. But I just say that in the sense, like, you couldn't anticipate like these turnouts for, say, Westbrook.
No, they're so tantalizing. Yeah, to think that my team could have the triple-double king would be a miracle. And now you're in LA and you're thinking something else.
You're not the triple-double. You're
like, I wish I still had Kuzma.
You're the White Castle of basketball players right now.
I think he'll figure it out, but probably not this season, and maybe not with this team.
Westbrook?
Yeah.
So does he go to Houston? Like, do they trade him to Houston?
No.
Like, where can you move this guy? Where could Westbrook go? I mean, you're gonna get shit for it. There you go. You're not gonna get Lillard, but
no, you can try.
There's just no way. There's no way.
Pelinka's like,
no effing way. They'll say maybe like an Anthony Davis, but we feel really awkward about wanting.
Maybe he goes back to OKC. I don't know. Denver, while Jamal Murray's out forever. I just don't know.
Can you get John Wall for?
John Wall is stuck to that contract, and Houston has it.
And you could say the exact same with Russell Westbrook and the Lakers. Maybe LeBron's gone. Like, I'm starting to honestly believe that LeBron's going to be gone on this team next season. It's weird.
And it's his fault. You think Pelinka's the one bringing these guys in?
Well,
there's no way.
What has he done every other time this has happened? This has happened a lot. But what has he done every single time?
Made a mess and then left.
Well,
he usually won, though. And I guess he did. He did win in LA.
Yeah. And he's going to go somewhere. He's like, okay, I got 2 years left.
He's like, you know what? I've always been a huge fan of country music.
And then he goes to Memphis. Oh, my God.
He
won't go to Memphis. There's no way they could make that happen. And plus, Ja wants to dominate. He said, what's the one guy that he wants to dunk on in the NBA? And Ja said LeBron James.
I think the only time that ever happens will be in practice when they're on the same team.
No way. Ja would be like,
he wants it in game.
Fuck that guy. I'm winning it on my own. He ain't winning shit. I'm the best player. I am the best player in this game.
That's awesome.
Period.
He's very, very good.
Maybe he's got good friends. He's could he go to Milwaukee? Him and Giannis, they like each other.
Do they? I feel like everybody likes each other in the NBA.
True.
It's a great culture.
I feel Steph and LeBron got a good relationship too, but I don't know. I just feel like LeBron thinks so highly of Giannis.
Do you like fast cars? Do you like when they race? Whether you're a seasoned Formula One fan or you've just discovered the rush of racing, check out the Pit Stop Podcast presented by the Ordinary Podcasting Network. Join Jordan, Tyler, and Braden each week as they recap every race as well as break down the biggest stories on and off the track, all before setting you up for the next race in the Formula One schedule. The Pit Stop Podcast is available anywhere you get your podcast. You know what else has a very strong relationship?
Who?
The WNBA's relationship with the NBA is really, really strong. I feel like the NBA has gone over and above to make sure and ensure that there is a culture for women's basketball and this is what I want to talk about.
I'd say it's the strongest out of all like the major sports for sure.
So there's a campaign going on right now around YWCA's got a new campaign called Add the M, which is about flipping the script on men's and women's sports. So their campaign is it's time to add the M to these major men's sports league. I think that it's not one of those like do it or else. It's a conversation though about why our focus isn't as heavily on the women's side of the sport.
Well, I think you have to address the elephant in the room, which is also a conversation not just about sports, but I think in general between the equity of men and women on many different levels throughout a long period of our history. And I think the biggest thing in the context of this with the sports is, I mean, all of the money, all of the equity, the focus and intention. So think of all the type of advertisers and TV contracts and deals, and elevate the emphasis and the importance of what this award means of winning those trophies, whether it's the Stanley Cup or the there's a lot of equity that's pushed and focused on that. And for businesses and stuff, the bottom line is what kind of return they're going to get. And so this is kind of the major proprietor even in 2022, and you see this facet and equity within businesses between men and women, and say their equity of opportunity or financial, what they're getting paid for too. There's a big distinction there still. So to look at specifically the framework of this sports, you can't also help but address that in the context of the bigger picture, I think, within life and that kind of conversation. I think it's all deeply tied, bigger picture. But the thing that I am impressed with and appreciative of is that in the WNBA specifically, there has been a strong effort. A big company like TNT hiring on as one of like the major contributors, Parker, and being there, every week, and such ingratiated into that, community. And Candace is like amazing at what she does, and she's also an amazing basketball player. And I don't know, there's a more just natural acceptance and appreciation, like when we get to see when we put people in these opportunities, and then young people can look at and see like I can be that too. And it just slowly kind of sets in those roots and creates, I feel like, more equity to see somebody like that and providing those opportunities. It leaves reverberations. And so they've done like an incredible job up until this point. And I think like wherever those kind of discussions and emphasis and wanting to push, the barriers and the envelope, I mean, I'm all for it. But I think it's important to recognize too that, you could just change the logo or the name on something, and all of the systems within the economy that propagate the significance of something like us watching sports at the highest level and everything that's associated with that. I think there has to be also some sort of cognitive address to all of that as well too, as we continue to move forward in this direction. Because then at the end of the day, it's just going to be, say, a name that's changed, and maybe the weight that's behind it, there isn't going to be any substantiated reverberation effect that actually is going to create more, change for opportunity. It just maybe appeases like an initial kind of response, and then there's no follow-up, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's one thing to change the name, but if it is as important, then it should be just as easy, to break that cycle, to break that system of how we've looked at something for a long time. And it's just as symbolic, I think, which is what's important, like if you make sure that the focus is on equity in terms of pay and in terms of respect and value held to the system of it, making sure that kids have access to it early on, then as they look at it with the major sports leagues, it should be just as easy to change the name. let's talk about the NCAA, because I think the NCAA has done a really great job at this year specifically making sure that their women's program has been just as witnessed and just as followed, just as incredible Cinderella stories and upsets to that tournament as we saw in the NCAA men's side of it. Christian, I know your bracket is absolutely busted, torched. What are your takeaways from the NCAA tournament as we go into the Final Four?
So I did watch the both South Carolina games, the WNBA South Carolina games, which I don't know. I definitely feels like the favorite going into that. They have been for so many years against North Carolina and Creighton. And Creighton was
Yeah.
the Cinderella story that you were talking about too. Yeah, like really, really great games. So no, I totally agree with you on the WNBA front. It's kind of nice to see those interchangeably. I mean, it's just so much basketball to watch. So it's just really great just to like throw it on all day. And these okay, so these Final Four. I mean, the first thing I gotta say, man, like, so when we were making our brackets, and like it was like I don't know, that Monday or something initially, like I had an old name from last year of what I like titled my bracket, and it was some stupid name. So I was like, okay, screw this, I'm just gonna change the name. And I hadn't even put much thought, and I knew because this is Coach K's last year, and I just decided I was gonna call it like Christian's Blue Devils bracket. And I just like left it. And then, a couple days go by and I'm reading all this information and reading into things and overthinking things and then going from there back and forth and being, to myself like, oh yeah, trying to like make sense of it all. And I decided, oh yeah, actually Kentucky's going to be a really good team and they're going to go far and they're going to win it all. And they're going to beat all these crazy teams like Murray State and Purdue. And it's going to be a joke. And they lose their first game against St. Peter's, 15 seed that makes it to the 8th seed. The first time this is ever done in NCAA history. So what the fuck do I know, man?
Well, you didn't know the heart of the St. Peter's Peacocks.
Really cool. I like looked up where they were, and it's like this really small like college. It's like almost like I don't want to say community college because I don't know if it's an actual community college of sorts, but like the size, the space of those kind of things. It's like one maybe building on a block. Like it's not very big in like the heart of New Jersey, and like so. I mean, I mean, I love it, and like watching them play. Had a lot of fight. There's a lot of character on that team, and I mean, it's an amazing story. But
did you hear their Coach Holloway talk about that St. Peter's team? I think he put it best of just
what do you say?
They made history. That's it. Yeah, I think he said point blank. Period.
Totally.
They made history. And that's what's so great about the tournament for the men's and the women's side of the sport is to be able to have those kinds of upsets and those kinds of stories and players that we start to learn about their backgrounds and who they are and what brought them to basketball, and it's such a fun tournament for so many people.
Absolutely, man. It totally is. It's straight up what the name says. It's madness. Like I mean, talk about equity. Like, doesn't matter where you're seated. You have an opportunity when you step your foot on that court to win a game and make it on to the next round. And what like you have to win, was it like 5 or 6 games? And boom, that's it. You won the tournament. So
boom. And here we go. Final Four.
The Blue Devils, I said it in the name. I should have just stick with my gut and been like, oh, they won it.
You didn't? How far did you have them go?
I had them going to the Final Four, but that was it. I just wish I had them winning the whole thing because here's a personal story. When I first started getting into basketball, my high school biology teacher, she was super excited come March time. And I was just like, hey, Miss Burley, like, coming in early class, like, what are you doing? Like, what's that thing you have on your desk? And she's like, oh, it's my bracket. And she's telling me all about the NCAA March Madness. And this is the first time I ever heard about it. And I remember she was my favorite teacher I ever had in high school. And I remember her favorite team that every single year that she did her bracket, she always picked this team going at least to the Final Four, if not winning it all. And it was Duke. I don't know why Duke was her favorite team, but Duke was her favorite team. And this was Coach K's last year. Like, I'm feeling so, whatever. Hindsight's 2020, blah, blah, blah. I should have just stuck with my gut. So here, I'm telling everybody, when you feel something in your gut, just trust it. And I'm happy that Duke's made it to the Final Four. They're playing against North Carolina Tar Heels, an 8 seed, which has also had a great story. And we know that is like one of the most heated rivalries. They said this is the first time that this has ever happened in the Final Four of these two teams facing off.
Wow. Well, it's a great story. Home team, like you've got the state, probably two of the best programs in the country as well, and storied players have gone to these programs, namely Michael Jordan playing for the Tar Heels. And then you've got a slew of players: Kyrie, Zion, JJ Redick, and then guys I'm just gonna totally forget or think that they played for them and didn't. So I'm just gonna stop there. But I think it's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be fantastic to watch these two teams, and again, all to top it off with Coach K's last kick at the can, and oh man, it's special. It's going to be a very special game. Who do you have winning it? Obviously, I'm assuming you're trusting your gut and going with the Blue Devils.
I'm picking Duke at the end of the day. I don't know on that Villanova Kansas side. I honestly didn't think much of this Villanova team, and I didn't think much of the Kansas team. You had Kansas in the final game.
I did pick Kansas in the final, but that's only because they're a 1 seed, honestly, and they've got a decent program with some players, but I couldn't name any of their players, so that was a bit of a guess.
They're the only 1 seed.
Actually, you know why? You know why? I'll tell you why. I didn't have faith in any of these in the teams in their division.
In the Midwest, I know. I'm looking at it. It's like the easiest ride. They beat Texas Southern, Creighton, Providence, and Miami.
Providence, yeah, man. I mean, they snuck out a win against Providence. Providence could have upset them.
Iowa would have been the team, I thought.
Creighton also could have beat them. And then they muscled Texas Southern. Villanova's been there, won it. They also kind of had a bit of an easy ride. They beat Delaware by 20, Ohio State by 10, Michigan by 12. Like, they haven't faced anything quite like what I think we've seen.
Houston, the when this was the Elite Eight, and actually the bets
by 6 they won that. Yeah,
for the odds. Houston was number 1 in the odds when they were at the Elite Eight to win the whole thing. So actually, Villanova being Houston is a really big deal. So I don't know. I'm going to pick Duke and Villanova and Duke to win it all. That's what I'm going to say.
The 2 seeds finishing it out.
Yeah. And you got what? You got Kansas?
And
who else?
I'm going to go Duke and Kansas. Yeah.
Okay.
I want this Duke team to win. I mean, North Carolina would be a great story. 8 seed going to the final game, but no, I want the blue ticker tape falling all over Coach K by the end of this tournament.
That'd be a special exit. Quickly here before we go, I don't know if you've looked any more a little bit into these draft guys. I mean, obviously Chet Holmgren didn't make it very far, losing to Arkansas.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. But it's nature of the tournament. You're gonna face something that you haven't seen before, or a guy's gonna get hot, or you're just not gonna have your game. And I mean, Chet, we were watching a bit of that game before I had to duck out of it. But Chet Holmgren was he played like I was expecting. He was quite dominant down in the paint. He had a crazy nice roll move with a Kareem looking hook. It's going to be fun to watch him in the NBA coming up. So
absolutely, man. 100%. No,
we'll see this Paolo, what's his name? Paolo
Banchero
for Duke. So
he's good, man. He has really been coming on hot. I think, this North Carolina team's pretty good, but I think this Duke team is just going to pull a Will Smith on him. So bad. I gotta stop that. God. That's gonna become such a meme.
Goodness. Okay, so
The
before we go
Oscars.
though,
Yep.
we've seen. I'm trying to find it all here. So South Carolina is in the Final Four for the women's side of this tournament. Stanford is also in the Final Four, both one seeds. And then we've got a game, I think tonight, Louisville, Michigan, 1 and a 3,
Mhm.
and then North Carolina State and UConn as a 2. Who do you think of those two games is going to finish out this Final Four? Michigan versus Michigan versus Louisville, North Carolina State versus UConn.
I'm gonna say Louisville and UConn, and I think South Carolina, UConn in the final game. And you know what? I'm gonna pick
Yeah,
my favorite
man, that
player.
South Carolina team is just
I'm
special.
gonna pick my favorite player, Paige Buckers from UConn, to win it all. So there you go.
Okay.
I'm just
Oh
putting it out
man,
there. She just shoots the light out anywhere she goes. I feel like she's like the Steph Curry of women's basketball. So let's go. Let's go
and just coming
Huskies.
up.
Hopefully the women's can be better than the men's for me because they really shit the bed. So yeah, my bracket, dude.
It fell apart very, very quickly. Who am I gonna pick here? I'm gonna pick UConn and Michigan. I think Michigan. I don't know. Maybe they might upset this Louisville team. Louisville's been very good, but why not? Hey, why not? And who am I picking? I'm gonna pick to win it all. I'm gonna pick South Carolina because they've had a fantastic program for the last little while. Um, and I think they won it. Didn't they win it Didn't they win it last year? Let me look this up.
Oh,
Stanford won it last year. South Carolina won it back in 2017. So, but I think
weren't they in the final game last year though?
I think they might have been. Yeah, I think they've always had a really good program, and some of their players are. They always look well coached, and I don't know. They look good. They look really, really good. So I'm going with the Gamecocks, the most unfortunate name in all of college sports, I think, other than the Santa Cruz Banana Slugs. But between the two of them, I think the Gamecocks are going to have a better time winning the NCAA Women's Basketball March Madness tournament. Chris, any final thoughts here on the NCAA?
No, man. No, that's it for me for March Madness, and